Hello and welcome. If you've noticed swelling in your feet, puffy fingers, or a bloated face after 40, today's video may surprise you. I'll show you why lemon isn't the real secret and which simple ingredients, supported by science, may help your body maintain a healthier fluid balance naturally. Let's begin.
What if your body is trying to tell you something every single morning? You wake up, you look in the mirror, and your face feels heavier than it did yesterday. There is puffiness under your eyes. The ring that used to slide off easily suddenly feels tight. By evening, your shoes start pressing into your feet. Your socks leave deep marks on your skin. Most people simply shrug and say, "Maybe I drank too much water yesterday. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Maybe it's just age." But is it really that simple? Imagine a city after heavy rain. The streets begin to flood. Cars move more slowly. The drainage system cannot keep up. Large pools of water appear everywhere. The city itself has not changed. Only one thing has changed. The water is no longer leaving as quickly as it should. Something very similar can happen inside the body. Fluid is essential for every cell, but when the balance is disturbed, the body can begin holding water in places where it does not belong. That is when swelling appears. And the most surprising part is this. For many people, this process begins long before they truly start paying attention to it. After the age of 40, the body gradually changes. Metabolism slows down, hormones shift, physical activity often decreases. Blood vessels and the lymphatic system may not work as efficiently as before. And all of this can quietly affect how fluid moves through the body. But does that mean swelling is an unavoidable part of aging? Not at all. This is exactly where most people make the biggest mistake. They try to fight the water. But water is rarely the real root of the problem, and in a moment I will show you why. Because this is where the story becomes much more interesting. Why does swelling happen, even when your tests may look almost normal? Picture an ordinary kitchen sponge. When it is slightly damp, everything looks normal. But if you leave it sitting in water for several hours, it becomes heavy, soft, and completely filled with fluid. Now imagine your tissues temporarily behaving like that sponge. That is what we call swelling. But it is important to understand one thing. Swelling is not a disease by itself. It is a signal. It is the body's way of saying something is out of balance. And the sooner we learn to understand that signal, the easier it becomes to help the body. Most people believe swelling is caused only by salt. And yes, too much salt can definitely make the body hold on to more fluid. But salt is only one part of the story. There are many other reasons, and many of them are created by our everyday habits without us even noticing. Imagine a normal evening. After a long day, you sit down on the couch. 1 hour passes while you watch a show. Then another hour. Then you scroll through your phone. It feels like rest, but inside your body, something very different is happening. Your muscles act like small pumps. Every step helps your veins and lymphatic vessels move fluid back through the body. When you do not move enough, that pump becomes weaker. Fluid starts to collect. This is one reason why shoes feel tighter in the evening and legs begin to feel heavy. But the most surprising part is still ahead. Sometimes swelling is not caused by drinking too much water. Sometimes it may be connected to drinking too little. That sounds strange, but think of a desert. When there has been no rain for a long time, every drop of water becomes precious. The body can act in a similar way. When a person regularly drinks too little fluid, the body may begin treating water like a limited resource. It tries to hold on to every drop. And in some cases, this may contribute to fluid retention. Of course, this is not the only reason, but it happens more often than many people realize. That is why simply drinking less water does not always help with swelling. Sometimes it can even make the situation worse. So the real question is this. If the problem is not only water, what else makes the body hold on to fluid? The answer may surprise you, because the next factor is connected to something most people see as a completely harmless part of their diet. What if the main reason for morning puffiness is not in the salt shaker, but on your evening plate? Imagine a typical dinner: a few pieces of cheese, some processed meat, a sauce, pickled vegetables, a slice of bread, maybe something sweet with tea. Each item looks harmless on its own. But now imagine that someone secretly added a small spoon of salt and sugar to each of them. Just a little. So little that you may not even taste it, but your body tastes it very clearly. Most people have no idea how much hidden salt is found in ready-made foods, processed meats, smoked foods, cheese, sauces,
Sodium itself
canned
is
foods,
not the enemy.
ready meals, bread, even some products that look healthy at first glance. This is where one of the most common mistakes happens. A person stops adding salt to food, but the total amount of salt barely changes because most of it is already inside the food. But salt is only half of the story. There is another player, sugar. And here, something very interesting happens. Imagine a sponge being dipped into water again and again. It becomes heavier each time. In a similar way, after eating a large amount of fast-digesting carbohydrates, the body may temporarily hold on to more water. When glycogen stores increase in the muscles and liver, water is stored along with them. This is a normal physiological process. But when these swings happen constantly, many people begin to notice that their face looks puffier in the morning and their body feels heavier by evening, especially after a late, heavy dinner, especially when that dinner contains both a lot of salt and a lot of fast carbohydrates. That is why some people wake up looking different from how they looked the night before. It feels as if their face changed overnight. But in reality, the body has simply shifted and stored fluid differently. And here, it is important not to draw the wrong conclusion. This does not mean you must completely avoid salt or carbohydrates. The body needs both sodium and carbohydrates. The real question is quantity, frequency, and the overall quality of your diet. But there is another factor people talk about much less. It is not directly connected to how much you ate, and after 40, it often becomes much more important: hormonal changes. And they often explain why two people can eat almost the same way, but only one of them develops swelling. But why does swelling become more common after the age of 40, even when your diet has barely changed? Imagine a full symphony orchestra. Every musician plays a different instrument: your heart, your kidneys, your blood vessels, your lymphatic system, your thyroid gland, your hormones, your adrenal glands. As long as everyone plays in perfect harmony, the music sounds beautiful. But if just one musician falls slightly out of rhythm, the entire performance changes. Your body works in much the same way. As we get older, many systems begin to adjust naturally. For women, estrogen levels gradually decline. For men, testosterone slowly decreases over time. For some people, the thyroid gland becomes less active. The body's sensitivity to hormones also changes. Each of these shifts may seem small on its own, but together they can noticeably influence how your body regulates fluids. This is why so many people say, "I eat almost exactly the same way I did 10 years ago, but my body looks completely different." And it is not always body fat. Sometimes those extra inches around the face, hands, or ankles are simply retained fluid. But this raises an important question. How can you tell the difference between normal fluid retention and swelling that deserves medical attention? This may be one of the most important parts of today's video, because most people fall into one of two extremes. Some completely ignore the problem. Others immediately start taking strong diuretics without understanding the cause. Neither approach is ideal. Your body rarely sends signals without a reason. If swelling appears only occasionally, after a very salty meal, a long flight, a hot summer day, or many hours of sitting, it is often easy to explain. But if you wake up swollen almost every morning, if your shoes become tight nearly every evening, if your socks leave deep marks every single day, if swelling is accompanied by shortness of breath, unusual fatigue, rapid weight gain, or persistent discomfort, that is no longer something to simply brush aside. It is time to speak with your healthcare provider. Because in some cases, persistent swelling may be associated with conditions involving the heart, kidneys, liver, thyroid, or other medical issues that require proper evaluation. That is why I always tell my patients, do not treat the symptom before you understand the cause. The good news is that for many people, the explanation is much simpler. And this is where we begin to regain control. The health of your blood vessels, your lymphatic system, and your fluid balance is influenced by many everyday habits. Not through extreme detoxes, not through miracle supplements, and certainly not through harsh dehydration. Instead, your body responds remarkably well to gentle, consistent support. Which brings us to the question many of you have probably been waiting for. What actually helps your body manage excess fluid naturally without disrupting its normal balance? Before I answer that, there is one principle you need to understand. Because this is exactly why so many popular detox drinks fail to deliver the dramatic results they promise. Imagine your basement has flooded. Water covers the entire floor. You could bring in a powerful pump and remove every drop. But if the broken pipe continues leaking, the basement will flood again tomorrow. That is exactly how many people approach swelling. They focus only on removing water. They reach for strong diuretics. They drastically reduce how much they drink. They search for the next miracle detox. For a day or two, everything seems better. Then the swelling comes back. Why? Because your body is not a sink that simply needs to be drained. It is an incredibly sophisticated system that constantly balances fluid between your bloodstream, tissues, lymphatic vessels, and every single cell. If your body is holding on to water, there is usually a reason. Sometimes that reason is perfectly normal. Sometimes it reflects everyday lifestyle habits. And sometimes it signals an underlying medical condition. Modern nutrition science focuses less on forcing water out of the body and more on helping the body restore its natural balance. That is a completely different philosophy. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of water as fast as possible, the better question becomes, what does my body need in order to regulate fluid properly on its own? And this is where things become especially interesting. Many people spend hundreds of dollars searching for exotic superfoods, rare herbs, expensive supplements, complex detox programs. Yet research continues to remind us that some of the most powerful influences on our health are also the simplest. How well we sleep, how often we move, what we eat every day, how hydrated we stay, how consistent our habits are. Your body does not crave extremes, it craves stability. Think about a beautiful garden. If you ignore it for an entire week and then pour 10 buckets of water onto it all at once, the plants will not suddenly become healthier. But if you water them a little every day, they begin to thrive. Your metabolism works much the same way. That is why I am always skeptical of headlines like, lose 5 pounds of water overnight, eliminate all swelling in just 2 days, completely detox your body this weekend. Your body was never designed for dramatic shortcuts. It responds much better to small, sustainable habits, repeated consistently. And this brings us to a warm drink that I occasionally recommend as part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Let me be very clear. This is not a medication. It is not a treatment for heart disease, kidney disease, or liver disease. And it is never a substitute for medical care if swelling becomes persistent or severe. However, when occasional fluid retention is related to everyday lifestyle factors, this simple drink may become a pleasant addition to your daily routine. And surprisingly, the most valuable ingredient is not the lemon. The real star of this recipe is a spice that many people rarely use, a spice that has attracted increasing scientific interest over the past decade. Let's take a closer look at why. Why has cardamom attracted so much attention from researchers in recent years? Imagine holding something no larger than your thumbnail, a tiny green pod, so small that most people barely notice it sitting among dozens of other spices. Yet inside that little pod are hundreds of naturally occurring plant compounds, essential oils, polyphenols, antioxidants, fragrant aromatic molecules. Nature packed an incredible amount of chemistry into something so small. This spice is green cardamom. Most people know it simply as a flavoring for coffee, tea, or desserts. But over the last several years, scientists have become increasingly interested in its unique composition. Why? Because studies suggest that the bioactive compounds found in cardamom may help support healthy metabolism, provide antioxidant activity, and contribute to normal cardiovascular function. Now let me be absolutely clear. Cardamom is not a medicine. It does not cure disease, and it should never replace medical treatment. But as part of a balanced diet, it appears to be a very promising ingredient. Now think about another situation. You finish dinner. An hour later, your stomach feels heavy. Your abdomen feels bloated. You feel uncomfortable. Many people immediately assume, I'm retaining water. But surprisingly, that isn't always the case. Sometimes what feels like swelling is actually digestive discomfort, gas, slower digestion, or your body's response to certain foods. That is why someone may say, I feel completely swollen, when in reality, part of that sensation comes from the digestive system rather than excess fluid. Traditionally, cardamom has been used to support digestion. Modern research is also exploring how it may influence digestive comfort and gastrointestinal function. But there is another fascinating connection. Few people realize how closely digestion and fluid balance work together. Imagine a busy highway. One accident causes traffic to slow. Soon, another lane becomes congested, then another. Eventually, the entire city comes to a crawl. Your body functions in a remarkably similar way. When digestion works smoothly, many other systems also function more efficiently. Of course, no single spice can solve every problem. Health is never about one miracle ingredient. It is about many small, healthy habits working together every day. That is why I always tell my patients, stop looking for magic. Start creating the conditions that allow your body to do what it was designed to do. Now let's talk about the second ingredient, star anise. Most people recognize it immediately because of its beautiful star shape. For some, its aroma brings back memories of holiday baking. For others, it reminds them of a warm cup of tea on a cold winter evening. But beyond its wonderful fragrance, star anise contains naturally occurring plant compounds that researchers continue to study for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Again, this is not a miracle cure. But together with cardamom, it creates a flavorful combination that can become part of a healthy daily routine. And finally, there is lemon. Ironically, the lemon is probably the least important ingredient in this recipe. Most people assume it does all the work. It doesn't. Lemon simply adds freshness and flavor. It also provides vitamin C and naturally occurring flavonoids that have been studied for their role in supporting vascular health. The real benefit is that it makes the drink enjoyable enough that you'll actually want to drink it regularly. Consistency is where real change begins. So how do you prepare this simple drink? The recipe couldn't be easier. For 1 liter of hot water, add 1 thin slice of fresh lemon, 5 or 6 green cardamom pods, and 1 whole star anise. Let the mixture steep for about 5 to 7 minutes. There's no need to remove the spices. They will continue releasing their aroma gradually as the tea cools. If you're using a smaller thermos, simply cut the ingredients in half. Drink it warm throughout the day. Small sips between meals work perfectly. Many people find that replacing sugary beverages with this warm herbal infusion naturally helps them drink more water without even thinking about it. Now, what should you realistically expect? Not miracles, not dramatic overnight transformations, But if occasional fluid retention is related to everyday lifestyle habits, you may gradually notice that your body feels lighter. Many people also enjoy the comforting warmth, the pleasant aroma, and the calming ritual of slowing down for a few moments during a busy day. And perhaps that is one of the greatest benefits, because true health is rarely built through dramatic changes. It is built through small choices repeated over months and years. But if we put everything we've discussed today together, what is the one lesson I hope you'll remember? Imagine you're the captain of a large ship. One morning, a small warning light appears on the control panel. It doesn't mean the ship is sinking. It simply says, "Please check the system." That is exactly how your body communicates. Swelling is not your enemy. It is information. Sometimes harmless, sometimes important, but always worth paying attention to. If you notice puffiness around your eyes every morning, if your shoes feel tighter every evening, if your rings suddenly no longer fit comfortably, don't immediately blame your age. Instead, ask yourself a few simple questions. Am I moving enough? Am I sleeping well? Has my diet become filled with more processed foods? Am I staying properly hydrated? Have I noticed any other symptoms that deserve medical attention? Sometimes the smallest adjustments create the biggest improvements. A little more movement, a little less ultra-processed food, a few more vegetables, a little less late-night eating, and simple daily habits that support your body's natural balance. That is exactly why I enjoy this warm drink with cardamom, star anise, and lemon. Not because it performs miracles, but because it encourages healthier routines. It is warm, comforting, naturally flavorful, and it can easily become one small step toward taking better care of yourself.
The lemon mainly contributes freshness
One final
and flavor.
thought. If swelling appears suddenly, becomes severe, is accompanied by shortness of breath, chest pain, significant fatigue, or rapid weight gain, please don't try to manage it on your own. Seek medical attention promptly. Persistent swelling always deserves a proper evaluation, because real health doesn't begin with finding a miracle cure. It begins with understanding what your body has been trying to tell you all along. If you found today's video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube share this information with more people who may truly benefit from it. I'd also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, when do you notice swelling the most? In the morning, in the evening, or throughout the entire day? I read your comments, and many of my future videos are inspired by the questions you ask. If you enjoy evidence-based nutrition explained in a simple, practical way, be sure to subscribe. In the next videos, we'll explore how nutrition influences inflammation, metabolism, healthy aging, and the everyday habits that can help you stay active and energized well beyond 40. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Take good care of yourself, take good care of your health, and remember, the sooner we learn to understand our body's quiet signals, the greater our opportunity to protect our health for many years to come.